and then I'm going to pass it over to the CEJA team. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natasha Telger, and we also have David Garvey on with us as part of the team that's been working on the CEJA reporting system. And so I'm going to go ahead, and I know many of you have already been working with David, so I saw lots of activity going on with getting everyone access, so that is good. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm sharing my screen. So today, like I said, we're going to be covering the CEJA reporting system, and really the purpose is to make sure that we have everyone set up with the right level of access, with the right programs, and all that kind of good stuff. So what I'm going to do is provide a real brief overview of the system from a high level, not getting into the tools, but just kind of the process flow. Then we're going to talk about entering grant information and training program information, and I can provide a quick demo of that. And then the second part of our session will be a working session, and it's just to make sure that you can log into your account, that you can access the grantee information, the grantee details section. And if you would like to go ahead and start entering your training program in information, you can do that at that time. And then David and I will just be available, and the CEJA team will be available to answer any questions that you have. Just so, like I said, the main goal of this session is to get everyone set up in the CEJA reporting system. So we'll go ahead and provide this PowerPoint whenever at the end of the session. But just to show you, I'm going to jump over to our Miro board, and in the PowerPoint, there's a link to this board, and so you can access this after the session as well. So anyone who's worked with us for a while knows that we really love Miro. So we like to be able to zoom in and use it to show like a flow of how the system works. And what I've done is I tried to put this flow together so you understand that this is one system, and it's used by navigators, by ClimateWorks, and by the workforce hubs. And I've used this first area, and I'm not sure if everyone can distinguish colors or not, but I'll go ahead and let you know that this first part is green, and I'll click this guy. Let me see if I can move him a little bit. And this is the end of the green right here. And this part of the system is used by navigators, ClimateWorks, and workforce hubs. And then as we get to the next section, this area over here is only used by ClimateWorks and the workforce hubs. So just to kind of give you an overview of the different types of tools or the information that's collected in the system, we have an area that's really about like collecting data related to your recruiting and outreach efforts, so those people that you're reaching out to, and if having your pool of people that will move on to the next section, which would be pre-screening. So everyone uses the same pre-screening tool, but we ask a variety of questions that help with identifying if this person might be more suited towards ClimateWorks or towards workforce hubs. And so that's why it's also really important that we have you set up, because there's different eligibility criteria for each of those programs. So we want to make sure that when we have you set up, we have you set up with the right program. So what'll happen then, they'll do a pre-screening. We'll go to the application, and then the application again includes that eligibility criteria that's for those specific programs. Then there's a career plan assessment. There's a service needs assessment. And then after that, it goes into an area that's for the climate works and workforce hubs. And you'll have tools to be able to create a career plan that has various services. You can document the dates, the provider information, credentials, post assessments. You can make case notes and referrals, flag attendance if there are red flags for that. And then it'll go through, completion and documenting outcomes and exit and so forth. So what we're going to do today is, first of all, make sure that navigators have access to, can access the system. And then we're going to spend a little bit of time on what we call the grantee details and the training area. And that's really, it really impacts this section right here. So, we can customize services and the training. But it will be important for the navigators to also hear that piece so that they know the information that's going to be added into the system and how that impacts their role within the system as well. So I know it's a super high level, and that's what it's meant to be, just to kind of introduce you to the different components. Are there any questions at this point?
I guess because I'm looking here at the notes underneath of them. When you zoom in on there, there's kind of a different PDFs. Are we going to be going through those PDFs that we'll be filling out with them?
Yeah, all those, let's see here. For these PDFs, like these are instructions for the different tools.
I was talking about the yellow ones.
Oh, the yellow ones are the different resources that are associated with the different, sorry, the manual. So there are,
and I was
within this
specifically about the ones further to the right, creating a career plan overview, right? Like these in that section.
In the section right here, this yellow where it says training related resources, barrier reduction. Yep, these are available to you. They'll be covered in the other sessions that are specifically for the manuals, because these are resources that are part of the manual. So I don't remember the exact schedule, but these are all available in what we call our partner guide, and they'll be covered later in as we go through the different sessions and progress through the manual, the orientation.
And then my other question is, will we be able to use the mirror tool and modify it to our own area?
This is no, this is what we use just like internally. I just happen to use it for just providing it so you can see one of the tools that we have, or the flow that I put together.
Thank you.
Natasha, there's one more question in the chat. It's for this point in your presentation or later, but Naomi Mounts in the chat said, can multiple people from an institution be set up? Also, is this reporting more on the programmatic side, not financial? There would be different personnel responsible for each.
Okay, so to answer your question, the first part of the question is yes, more than one person can have access to the system. And I will leave it to the CEJA team to correct me. But this is more for like the programmatic piece of it. I don't know how it impacts the financial as far as like needing program information to support that. I don't know if Diana or if any of the other.
Yeah, so the budget information and financial side of it will be with the grant manager. We'll be working with all the grantees to complete their work plans. First draft, we recommended everybody have that done by the 17th. And then hopefully we can have everyone complete a final draft by the end of the month. Obviously there's some wiggle room there, but those are the goals right now. And so we will work with everybody to get the work plans completed, and then the financial side is working with your grant manager. So submitting your costs and reimbursement requests and all of that will be done through them.
Any other questions before we? All right.
Quickly, did you say that slides?
Yes.
Okay, thank
I
you.
can send it out to everyone right after this session. Okay, so the first area we're going to take a look at, and this is primarily for ClimateWorks and the Workforce Hub grantees, is the grantee details area. And so I'll show you, we can show you how to navigate to that too, but I'll log in and we'll go to the provider information. There's a tab here, it says grantee details. You should be able to, it's just the generic CEJA project. And then in this example, it's Totally Clean Incorporated. That's the name of their grantee. And the area that we're really going to focus on right now is, first of all, we want to just show you, and you can update this area where it has the grantee information. So just to make sure the information, the address is correct, you can put your program name in there. And then we'll have the regional administrators also will update this information so you know who your technical assistance contact is going to be and their contact information. And then there's an area here with associated grants, so you can enter, you know, your grant number, the information about your grant. And then how we're primarily going to use this is also to look at your training programs and your services. And what will happen is your grant regional administrator, I believe it's the regional administrators, will be working with you specifically to go through your work plan, and then to help. What we've done is like generically populated all the different services that are available for the CEJA reporting system for your programs into this tool, but they can work with you, and you know, you can go together and look at the different services, and you know, we've just removed the ones that won't be used for your program. If they're removed and later down the road you decide that it's needed, it's really not a big deal. We can add it back in there, but it's really to use to like customize that list of services that are going to be used by your program. And then that way, as you're building out the career plan, it narrows down that set of services to search through. And then the next area we're going to look at would be the training programs. And again, ClimateWorks Workforce Hub grantees will be adding their training programs in here. And then the regional administrators will, you know, review those and approve the different training programs and credential information. And this really is just more of like an exercise to make sure that, you know, it's so much easier just to like start off and everybody be on the same page and, you know, understand, and, you know, clear communication on the different, you know, what the plan is, and just to make sure everything's correct at the very beginning. It really saves a lot of headache like down the road. So when we say review and approve, that indicates that, you know, the discussion has happened and everything's approved and everything is good to move forward. And the other reason that this tool is important is that it does a couple things. One, it will create a list that as you go through the pre-screening, navigators can click on that list and then they can see a full list of programs. So that can help with making, you know, having those discussions with the customer about, maybe which program is better for them. Maybe it's, this program that's 10 miles away versus this program that's 5 miles away, or vice versa, depending on their situation. So, again, that's one of the reasons why we have all this information in the training provider tool, because it populates a couple areas. The list is one of them. Also, it's used as you're doing your documenting your services. This list will be used to make it so you can just like pick from the provider that's providing that service, as well as the different credentials. So we'll take a look at that in 1 minute. And then I didn't catch the name of the person that had mentioned about the different PDF resources, but then I'll also show you where these various resources are available on Illinois workNet. So with that, what I'm going to do is I am going to here. Let me go to Illinois workNet. Okay. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll go to the partners guide. And so I guess I should have verbalized what I just did. So you go to illinoisworknet.com, and I'm already logged in, but at this, you don't need to be logged in to access these resources. It's just remembering me because I'm already logged in. You can go to the partners little icon. You can toggle back and forth between individuals and partners with this icon. And then we'll scroll down. We have a variety of tools that are available, but what we're going to focus on today are the program partner guides that are for CEJA. And we decided to have the guides broken into the different programs, just so we don't cause any confusion between things that are things that might be different between the different programs. They're pretty much all the same, but they have resources that are specific to the program. I'm going to go ahead and I clicked on the ClimateWorks partner guide, and you can see we have access to the reporting system. We're going to be putting together some quick start guides for you. We have the manual that's down below. And then we have the full list of resources. And this is divided out so that it follows the chapters that are with the manual. And then what we've done is we have our related resources. If there's related reporting instructions, we can put those here. Some of these things are broken out into like subtopics. So we have the topics, reporting system instructions, and all those items that were kind of in those yellow sticky looking areas in that Miro board. You can use these to like jump down, for example, for data management. We're already gone through the process of working on becoming a partner. I see that we have a raised hand. You have a question?
I was just going to ask if we could do this for workforce development, because I think there's more of us in workforce development than ClimateWorks on here, please.
Sure. Like I said, it's the same basic process. We have our full list of resources. And then as the resources are made available, then we put those out there as well. So.
Thank you.
And like I said, we'll go ahead and we'll put together our quick start guides, and our quick start guides are typically like a, like a, they kind of look like, they look kind of like this with the 1, 2, 3, and then we'll have like a little video over here, like short tutorials. So as we, in the next few weeks, we'll have sessions that will, you know, go into depth on the different tools, but then in addition, we'll be providing short tutorials. So those will be easily available to you, easily accessible to you. All right. So actually, sorry, let me just, I can actually click this thing, so I'm assuming. And here, actually, need to go into tests for now. So sorry, here, I actually will click on this link. So I'm on the workforce partner page. I click this link and it's going to take me to these tools. I'm logged in as like a state person, so you see a lot more. But yours, you'll see your program here. Another way to get to this is if you're, you know, on your dashboard, hit customer support center, it'll take you to the same place. So there's a couple different ways, but you can always access it through your partner guide. So you can access the reporting system. You're going to switch over to test for now. I'm logged in. Let me go back to, let me get that out of the way here. I'll go back to the groups for this John Smith test person. Sorry. And you can see that we have access to the CEJA programs. And again, this person is already, we've done quite a bit of testing. This is an older test account with this. So they're, you know, this is where you would access your customers and everything. But today, what we want to focus on is the grantee details, because this is all about getting set up, and the training programs. So along this top, I'm going to select this little file that says provider info. And I'm going to go to grantee details. And this particular test account is only set up with access to one location. So if you have access to multiple locations, you'll have a drop down and you can toggle between those areas. If you're only with one, it's going to default and put, you know, can default for you.
Can we change that top one to workforce development as well, or no?
It's just the name. It was like, we'll probably change it to like CEJA, FEJA, but it's like the overall higher level. It's the exact same set of tools. It just kind of carried over. And then so what we'll do is the very first part, again, is just to make sure that you can, you know, this information is correct. You can put your program in. We just had CEJA testing, start and end date. And then we'll ask the regional folks to go ahead. Whenever they log in, they'll be able to edit this information. And so then we can identify who your technical assistant person is, or you'll always have it right here in your grantee detail. And since we just got your group set up, we'll have to give them just a little bit of time to log in and do that. And the next section is usually have, you know, put your grant number in here, start and end date, put the grant amount up here. Some of these other areas are used for other programs and they're not required. If you wanted to put in here that you have staff that's completed certain trainings, you know, you're more than welcome to, but it's not required. You can enter your training programs. We'll take a look at that. This just basically takes you to the other tab, but whenever you have those training programs entered, they will automatically populate this list. And the idea is that whenever, you know, your regional administrator like goes through here, they can just access everything at one time. We don't have to use the locations or instructors necessary work types for this. The big one for this program right now is the services. And the services do are used to provide a list of services that can be used to populate the career plan. So we're not looking at the career plan today, but I did want to just like make you aware that we have populated ClimateWorks with their services, and then the workforce hubs basically have the same set of services plus a few more to choose from. And so we've gone ahead and populated most, if not all, the groups already with the services. And then we'll have to work with, work with your regional administrator to, look at these. I believe it's the regional administrators. If I'm saying that incorrectly, please feel free to correct me. We'll work with you to look at your work plan and just to make sure that these services, go along with like what's in your work plan. So that won't necessarily be today thing, but I just wanted to let you know that this is where that is.
Natasha,
Not a-
two questions
yes.
in the chat.
Mhm.
Actually, yep. It looks like David answered one. One is, how will the navigators interact with this tool?
The navigators don't have to worry about this section right now.
Okay.
Not yet. Because you're, you don't really have to, you don't have like the training programs and the services to enter into document. But with that said, you will want to, this would be of interest to you because you can see the different programs. This will be used, sorry, the information that's used in the information that's added to the system by ClimateWorks and by the workforce hubs. That information that's entered into the system will be used to populate a list that you can access through the pre-assessment. So if you go through the pre-assessment and you're having a discussion, and maybe you're just trying to figure out which is the best program that for that person, you'll be able to access a view of this information, to help with that conversation. So good questions. Anything else?
There's one more that's from Carl Flowers, and it says, will the outreach and recruiting staff send information to the reporting staff for input?
I don't know, Diana or anybody?
Sorry, what was the question again?
It's in the chat and it says, will the outreach and recruiting staff send information to the reporting staff for input?
Some of that's going to be, I think, internal to the grant, the grantee, and how you want to set it up. And I think that certainly having reporting staff enter a lot or verify a lot of the information is a good practice. But I don't think there's an expectation that only one person or only one title can enter information.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Thank you, Nate. The process
I'm sorry,
internally.
could you repeat a little bit of what he said? I couldn't understand the mic.
Yeah, so as Nate was saying, the process internally to which Carl Flowers is speaking to is more internal to the grantee. And so if that makes sense for your team to have the outreach and recruiting staff share that information to the reporting staff for input, that's fine. Again, as Nate said, there is no expectation that only one person will be inputting data. If you need to have the outreach staff input the data, and then share that to the reporting staff, or have the reporting person be designated to input data, that's totally up to each grantee.
Also, could you provide clarity on how the navigators will interact with this? I saw that David responded that as a navigator, you do not need to enter this information. Is that for everything, or was that just in relationship to one bit of information?
That's in relationship to like setting up these training programs and services. You don't necessarily have to fill out anything in here in either one of these tabs like I'm showing today, but I just thought it would be helpful for you to understand where that's coming from. So whenever we get into this today, the main thing for the navigators is to understand overall where, what you kind of have access to, what's available in the system, as far as the types of tools. Our next session will be the outreach and intake portion. So we'll really have more detail as to, what it looks like for a navigator. But right now, as far as navigators concerned, we just want to make sure that you are able to access the system, and that, we have you set up correctly with the right location. And what else? And let's see here. Oh, and then I just wanted to, let you know where the training program information is coming from, because sometimes we get the question that's like, where does this come from? Who do we contact? So that's what we're looking at now, is where that list comes from.
Natasha, I'm going to jump in real quick. We have a couple more questions in the chat. One from Missy stating that in one of the calls we had with DCEO, we were told that the outreach staff would be entering the data in real time. And again, that is true. If it's your outreach staff that you assign to submit the data, then yes. And in real time, we're defining as within 1 week. So we understand, that you might be out in the field doing events and not be able to submit the data the same day. So we're giving everybody at least a week to get that information submitted into the system. And then Cheryl has a question. Natasha, how do staff and administrators get access to this system?
So we have instructions for that, but what we had asked is that you set up your Illinois workNet account. And we did have an initial list from the CEJA team of, like based on, I believe, the work plan or the information that they had received so far as to who should have access. So in the meantime, well, actually, let me just I have a PowerPoint on there. You go to illinoisworknet.com, sign up in the header, enter the required information. Then you'll confirm, you'll get an email to confirm and activate your account. And then if you're doing that like right here today, then just put a message in the chat, and David or I will go ahead and get you set up with the right with a group. But if you're watching this recording for the session, or you need to do it after the fact, just email Illinois worknet info@illinoisworknet.com. And I'll just update this and include your CEJA program and organization name.
And I want to jump in again, Natasha, just looking at the chat from Debbie Wright. Thank you, Debbie, for your comment. We will definitely consider adding another training on for the navigators. I just want to clarify who can access who's going to be inputting certain data. So both the navigators and the hubs will have staff that are going to be putting in data. ClimateWorks as well, because they're doing outreach. So that's why it's really important for the navigators to collaborate with the hubs during planning outreach so that you guys aren't duplicating efforts and going to the same population, same geographic areas. So at any given point in time, the navigator staff will be inputting data for their components, and then the hubs will also be inputting their data from their outreach efforts too. So I hope, Debbie, that clears up some of the confusion. But we will add that to our list because we will have ongoing TA sessions for all the grantees.
Yep. And our next session is literally the intake and outreach piece. So that's, I think, the 25th, if I remember correctly. But any other questions before I kind of just go through the training program information?
Valerie's just asking real quick, is this an overview so that we have a sense of what we'll be signing up for once we set things up with our regional manager, correct? And yeah, that is correct, yeah. We know it's a lot.
Yep, and again, literally today is just about getting access to the system, making sure that we have you set up, and then the people that need to have access, if they don't, we want to go ahead and give you guys time to identify those folks, and so we can get them set up before the training that talks about intake. So the idea is that after our next training on intake, you could, maybe hit the ground running and you can start using the system right away as far as entering people. I'm going to go ahead, if you're going to add a new program. So I'm logged in again as a grant. This happens to be a ClimateWorks. It's just an older tech person. But either way, either program, Workforce Hubs or ClimateWorks, you would go to your training programs tab. You're going to default to who you have access to. And if you have multiple training programs, you can look at those. You can add a training program. I'm going to click edit right now just to, so you don't have to watch me do data entry. The very first area is the section, and some of these are from older programs. I would assume ClimateWorks is going to use pre-apprenticeship, but you could have, maybe for Workforce Hubs like career pathway or registered apprenticeship, whatever makes sense. We just added this recently, private business vocational school search. This is something that you can put in here and search for it. Right, there you go. You can do a keyword search. We do have to update this. We do have to go to their website, pull the list, and then update this search. So we can do that again in the near future, maybe this week, or it's not that big of a deal to do it. I'm not sure if some of your programs, like if your program happens to be on this search and you say, hey, Natasha or David, this is already approved and I don't see it on the list. Just give us a holler and we can pull down that list from their website and upload it into here. I'm not sure how the frequency that they update that list. So, we'll again, we can do that. It's not that big of a deal for us. You can also search the WIO approved training provider list, or you can submit another program. So enter your program name and program description. And remember, this is something that the navigators are going to use. So they, can help the customers make informed decisions about which programs to go into. So whatever information that you think would be helpful to be putting in, to put in here, you're welcome to do that. It's just a text field. But again, know that the navigators will be using this list to help them, clarify and help people make decisions. So you have the provider name, address, a SIP code is a training program, a code that's related to the training program. And then this is actually a little bit of an older, we made some updates, so sorry, let me go back to here. I'm going to add training program just because I want to show you a difference that we had recently. Maybe it's not pushed out to production. We might have, all right, it's fine. It doesn't matter. We recently made some updates, but it may not actually be pushed out to production, which is fine because it's really geared towards another program, but because these are all related to occupations. And then so you have your SIP code, time to complete, identify a career pathway, put in your SOC code. There's a SOC code search. So you can do a keyword and then pick the SOC code. I know nurse isn't what we're doing here, but you can do a keyword search and pull out the, identify the most relevant SOC code. It will populate this other field right here. Then you can identify the NAICS code. And one of the things that is also helpful is we have this CEJA link, so you can look for the different career information. And so let's say it's in architecture and construction, and I don't know, you can look at contractors, I don't know, and then you can, copy the URL if you want to. This is not a required field, but if you wanted to do that, you could put it in here. And so when it populates that page, that list for the navigators, they'll have a link to the labor market information and information about the work environment, that type of thing. Again, it's not required, but it's a nice thing to have right there at the navigator's fingertips. You can put in the projected number of people that you plan to serve. The program contact is not necessarily like a program contact that if a navigator has a question about something, it's more that if somebody on our team needs to have some information up here, we know who to contact, like who's responsible for updating this information. We have, if there's a minimum age, put other notes, and then the next page. These are not required, but if you select, it's more about information. We've used this in other programs about the training program, and it will display in the list that's available to navigators. So, do you offer bridge program? Who's the target audience? Institution sector type. What are the goals? How's it offered? Are there any minimum requirements? What about lifting, standing, sitting? Are there any screening tests you have to take? Any drug tests, vision, appearance, smell or taste? If you have to have to drive for this position, do you can the person have more than 3 motor vehicle tickets? Do you need a valid driver's license? Is there a background check that's required? And again, these are not, you don't have to answer these, but it's more about providing information up front to help the navigators, you know, help the person make an informed decision. And then the last part of it is adding credentials. So in the system, we'll have where you can select from the various credentials that are required for the, you know, for the program. But if you have any different types of other credentials, maybe, you know, for example, sometimes we'll use, hey, you could get a forklift driver's license or credential, I don't know. Or, you know, I don't know all the different types of credentials that are associated.
OSHA.
Yeah, OSHA is one of them that we have. Definitely put that in there. We have it also, was it OSHA first aid CPR maybe? And I don't remember, NCCR, and another one that starts with a NUAB or something like that. Those are the ones that'll be available. But if you have something like in addition to that, you can put in the credential name. What type of credential is it?
Is the NABCEP in there? I'm sorry to bother you.
No, you're no bother. Hey David, look at that list. And if you could post the listing of those, that they'll be on the dashboard too, so you can easily drill down to the folks that have those. But can you do that for me, David? I don't know. I can't tell if you're.
Yeah, I'll get that.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks. Yeah.
So there's also a question in the Q&A, just whenever you're ready, let me know.
Sure, go for it.
Freddie has posted, where can you find who your hub is?
That is a great question. Like, as far as who, I don't know, like Nate or
we will be we will be posting the finalists and grantees on the CEJA website under the program updates page. A number of the grantees and finalists that are on the call today, multiple people in various stages of having their grants fully executed. And as soon as they are fully executed, we'll be putting those the names of those organizations on the website.
And actually, better yet, on our next manual session, we will be having introductions to the partners for each region and each grantee. So if you have a partner that's a hub and a navigator, we're going to have some working sessions in our next orientation next Tuesday so that everybody meets everybody. And then the regional administrators will actually continue those conversations offline beyond that orientation. So the soonest you will get to meet your partner is going to be next week, if you don't already know who they are.
any other questions? All right. We'll just real quick, we'll wrap this part up. Like I said, you can put your credential name in, credential type, who the owner is, a description. These are not required fields, so you don't have to enter these areas, but you're welcome to. And then what we found in the past is that some programs will prepare excuse me, the person to earn a credential, or like as a result of participating in this program. Sorry, you will earn the credential. So you can identify those. And then what will happen is your regional administrator can go in and review your programs, and they'll have an extra little button here that says that they can approve it. And so whenever you go back, let's go back this way. You can see that, you know, in this case, the program has been approved as well as the credential. So, and again, I'm logged in as a grantee as opposed to the super users, but this is what they would do. They would go in and review everything, and you can see when it is approved. And so it's really, you know, a good way to, like, you know, use this as a communication tool between you and your RA. At some point in time, they may have you upload files that are specific to a program. So those are up here. Not using appointments yet, but that's another tool for potentially later on down the road. So again, yeah, these are just overview of the tools that primarily ClimateWorks and Workforce Hubs be using. So with that, let me go back to PowerPoint. So by all means, we'll answer any questions that you have. But I would also like to use the remainder of the time to make sure that we have the people that need to have access to the system. You know, just test to make sure that you can log into the system. And we can do any troubleshooting right now. I know that, David, there were a few people that were requesting access. I believe we just need to make sure that we have, we may not have received the names of those organizations yet, so we'll need to set up the groups. And once we have those groups set up, then we can give you access, but we'll be working with like Larry, Nate, and Michelle, just to make sure that we're setting things up and everybody's on the same page. So if we already have your organization and you've set up your account and David has granted you access, you know, just wanted to make sure, let's call that group 1, just to make sure that you can access the tools. And if you have any questions, please let us know and we'll use the time to help troubleshoot anything. If we have your, we'll call this the next one, if we're group 2, if we have your organization, but you haven't requested access yet, then go ahead and follow these steps that are on the screen to set up your Illinois workNet account. And then we can give you access to those groups and make sure that you can access it. And then for group 3, if we don't have your organization in the system yet, at least we know that you already have your Illinois workNet account set up. And once those groups are set up in the system, then we can give you access.
Natasha, we got a couple questions in the chat. One goes back to Kyle Barber. Is the NABCEP credential listed in there, or is that something they have to add themselves?
David, did you have that list or did I miss it?
Yeah, I added that in there. It's not included in the list that we have.
Got it. Thank you. And then
should it
let's
be?
see,
I don't.
Beth?
Is it?
Yeah, it's part of the solar training.
So we just need to add it to the system.
Yeah.
I'm looking right at it.
And then another question from Debbie Wright: should navigators grantees log off, or does this session include navigators as well? So I think everyone needs to stay on, right, so they can access the system.
Right now, it's just a matter of verifying that you can, if you can access if you have requested access to the tools and you have verified that you can log in and you're a navigator, then you're free to go. And if you are with a ClimateWorks or Workforce Hubs and you've requested access and you verify that you can log into Illinois WorkNet and access those tools, then and you're not interested in updating grantee details, or you're not prepared to update training programs information yet, then you're free to go. If you want to, if you are with ClimateWorks or Workforce Hubs and you want to stay on and enter training program information, you just let us know and we'll stay on with you just in case you have any questions. But otherwise, it's really about, you know, trying to help people that if you have any trouble getting into the system, we just want to make sure that we have your account set up right so that you don't have any troubles.